Before entering the kennels, it is important to relax, take a deep breath, and make a point to leave your problems outside. Otherwise, the dogs will sense your emotions and your tension, and you won't help the situation. For corrections, so that's louder, deeper, more stern. For approval, you say yes in a high-pitched voice. Friendly, high-pitched voice. Yes, yes.
Oh, look what this is. It's Dale.
If the dog is jumping on the cage, off is the command to use. You can also tap on the front of the cage with the palm of your hand. You can do a down motion with your hands. All of these are ways to get him to stop jumping, but off is important to say. If a dog is misbehaving, just ignore them and walk to the next kennel or the one across the aisle. The first dog will see that good behavior gets a treat and what they're doing doesn't get the treat. When you're first getting into the kennel and you don't want the dog around the door and running out, use the command back and throw a piece of food to the back of the kennel. Wait for food is very important for teaching the dog to focus on you. Make sure it waits for the food, whether it's sitting or standing. You don't want it jumping to the food or lunging towards your hand. Make it wait until your hand gets down and gives it that food. It is important that the dog get comfortable with having the leash hooked up and unhooked from his collar. Have the treat in one hand, have the leash in the other, and say, "Hook up," and hook it to his collar and immediately reward him. On the opposite end, when you unhook it, have that treat ready, say, "Unhook." Controlling the threshold means not having the dog run out the door as soon as it's open. So you'll get the dog to wait. Whether sitting or standing, he's waiting. And if he lunges forward, you say back and get him back to where he should be waiting. And just get the dog comfortable with that door opening and closing without running out. The dog is focused on you rather than the door. So here, the commands you're using are wait and back, whenever those are necessary. Once you have control of the threshold and the dog isn't lunging out the door, you can start working on having the dog get into the aisle and stay focused on you. Whether it's standing or sitting there, it's focused on that treat rather than all the dogs barking around it. Once the dog is comfortable with getting out in the aisle and is still focused on you and not distracted by all the dogs around, then you can work on getting the dog to walk up and down the aisle. If the dog is jumping at other cages, the right command is leave it. Keep walking the dog up and down the aisle until it's consistently focused on you and not distracted by the other dogs. Level 7 is getting the dog to heel. That is, walk by your side and not be distracted by other things and not pulling. Keep the dog on your left side and treat the dog with your left hand so the dog doesn't cross over in front of you to get the treat from your right hand. If the dog is pulling on the leash, there are several ways to deal with this. It's good to accompany all of them with the correction, "Ah-ah!" One thing to do is just a quick tug on the leash to get him back by your side where he belongs. You can change direction 180 degrees, just do a U-turn and start going the other way. Or you get in front of the dog and you walk directly back into the dog, and it's going to back up and then eventually sit because it doesn't know what you're doing.